Hello, and welcome to the Academic Career Podcast. I'm Dr. Loren M. Hill, your host, and today with me, I have a good friend and colleague, Dr. Gregory Canillas. Welcome to the podcast, Dr. Canillas.
Thank you for having me.
So today with Dr. Canillas, we're going to be asking him about his career path in academia. He is a scholar, a practitioner, he's a psychologist. He has several areas of expertise. He's huge on social media. And I just I just love the way he has been able to weave together aspects of academia and clinical practice and couples therapy. And so if you could just tell us, Dr. Canillas, how did you get started in academia?
Ooh, let's see, it's been a while. So let's go back. So as an undergrad, I did a research internship at UC San Diego, primarily for minority students who were interested in pursuing doctorates and master's degrees. And that kind of, I guess, started my interest in teaching and research. And so after finishing that, my junior year, I went back to UC Santa Cruz, which was my home school, and applied for graduate programs, got accepted into a few, ended up at a professional school because I wanted to be a practitioner. And I talked to somebody who was well, not at the time, but he had been a former APA president, and was like, well, if you want to do that, you should consider professional school, which I thought was kind of interesting because he was a real researcher and academician. So I went to CSPP, finished that. Again, they primarily train people to be clinicians, work in community mental health, etc. But then, like the teaching aspect, had done that as an undergrad, did one course under supervision by a professor, liked it. I guess I've always been a teacher, just not really formally, and I've probably always been a therapist as well. And so then ended up teaching part-time in addition to like clinical and administrative stuff. So I always held like an administrative clinical position during the day and then did like teaching in the evening. And then maybe about, I guess 2013, I transitioned to full-time teaching, which is how I met you at the Chicago School in downtown Los Angeles. And continued to do teaching, research, presentations, founded about 2 years ago, Soul to Soul Global, and we do couples workshops, retreats, and then we're doing something called Vision Board Workshop, which I know you'll be at this weekend, which is open to everybody. So that's kind of my path in academia.
So some similarities between your path in academia and mine is that I also began what I like to think now as my career in academia as a TA, right? So I had a mentor who, when I was in grad school, said, Loren, I think you'd be great at this. I was a bit reluctant because I was doing my advanced studies. And with her urging and support, I did go on to become a TA and found that I really liked it and found that in many ways, like you, I was sort of a natural at teaching and facilitating. And so I'm wondering, was there any mentorship that went on? I know you spoke about your professor who gave you guidance and who was the former head of the American Psychological Association. But did you have any specific mentors or coaches?
Yeah, absolutely. I still do. So above being coached. And now in the business aspect, I have great coaches who guide me along the way, who run like multi-million-dollar businesses, but I've also had them in academia. And so when I started Chicago School, even though I had been teaching for, I would say probably at least 10, 12 years, they have a program for new faculty. I signed up and I got Dr. Patricia Arredondo. I lucked up and got Dr. Patricia Arredondo, who was the president of the Chicago campus of the Chicago School, for folks that don't know, has many campuses. And she was wonderful. So I see her when she would come in and fly into LA for meetings and stuff, and we'd have our sessions. And see her at conferences and stuff for that first year. And Dr. Arredondo has written books. She's done videos for the APA. She's done, I mean, she's held academic positions. She now has her own consulting firm. But she was the perfect match. Like there's always like serendipity in my life. I love it. Sometimes I feel like things are not going as they should, but then it's like, they are. God connects you with the right people. So she was absolutely wonderful. That was, I think, the most formal mentorship relationship that I've had, but I always had like informal ones with professors I was going through graduate school and even beyond that, who still provide like advice and guidance, even though I'm well into this.
Well, this is so serendipitous, and I'm smiling from ear to ear for those of us who can't see, those of you who can't see us, because I did not know that Dr. Patricia Arredondo was your mentor at the Chicago School. She's actually my mentor as well.
Oh, wow.
And she's a guest of this podcast recently.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And you didn't even know that. And I didn't know that there was that connection there either. So when I think about Dr. Arredondo and our paths crossing her path and her being so open and giving, she's very seasoned, but very understated. People who don't know her, don't know all of her accolades. And so what would you say some of the benefits are of reaching out to someone who has a stature that is seemingly unattainable? Like, what would you do? We were able to do that through a formal mentorship program. But have you had any experience of doing something like that outside of a formal relationship?
Yes. So in academia and in business, like I actually was thinking about this morning. I kind of pushed my way into places that I probably wouldn't be invited to.
Yeah.
But that comes with stuff. Like I was thinking about this morning. I won't give the company's name, but the company put out this call for people who lease office space with them, and we're doing this workshop. It's like several weeks. It's about scaling up your business. Blah blah blah. I applied and I got accepted. I got connected to another mentor who was hired in the company. And our first Zoom session, she was like, "Well, tell me how long you've been with the company." I was like, "Well, the truth is, I'm really not." Just kind of applied and they accepted me, and here I am. And she was like, "Okay," and just dismissed it and went on about her business. But it really isn't the room that I was supposed to be in. So I think sometimes you have to push your way through, especially for people of color. We don't really have this institutionalized for us.
Right.
Other cultures do, and you have to
Right.
just kind of make your way because they push their way through. It's the same kind of thing. But it's
Absolutely. And so I'm thinking about this concept of being in place and space that we wouldn't necessarily think about being, right? And there are times in which there may be someone who can invite us into those spaces. And then there's other times where we have to sort of be emboldened to go into those spaces. And so it's been my experience that there's times though when I don't really know how to navigate that system. And I think that a coach has helped me sort of strategize that.
Absolutely.
So that's been your experience as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've had both. I've had experiences where I pushed my way through the doors, and I have experiences where I've had people who coach me on how to do that. And even like the relationship that I have where I pushed my way through the door, she's coaching me. She's my business mentor. I say, should I do this? And she says no. Or I say, should I do this? And she says yes. But you have to learn how to be coachable. I think for a lot of people of color, we don't understand that concept either. And in order to get into certain rooms where people are going to assist you, you have to have that. So it's always, I think, a good idea to have that. If you don't know how to do it, to seek out a coach like yourself. I mean, that's what you're doing. Seek out people who can guide you through that if you don't come from that background. And even if you do, I think you can benefit from somebody who has experience navigating the landscape.
Yes, so this is really, really fascinating, Dr. Canillas. I think that for me, there were times where I did feel like I'm so happy to be able to knock on this door and
Mm-hmm.
able to them let me in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then
Mm-hmm.
there's times where I felt like I had to, they were ignoring the knock on the door, so I had to go to the window and
Mm-hmm.
tap on it and say, I'm not going anywhere. I'm still going to come in here one way or
Yeah.
another. And so to be able to fall back on a support system, whether that's a coach or a mentor or a peer who could kind of say, yes, you can do it. You can do it. You should do it. Right.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. For some reason, when you said that, Aretha Franklin popped in my head. I'm gonna rap on your door, tap on your window pane. Basically, whatever you need to do to get in the room. So
Yeah.
yes, I think you can be helped by people who know how to finesse that. So I think I'm able to do that now because I've had coaches before, and I've also had a lot of experience in teaching in academia, and have the confidence to do that. I know that I think sent a couple of people to you that you worked with that you've helped to build their confidence because they don't have the confidence to do the things that we're talking about. They wouldn't rap on a door or tap on a window pane. And part
Yeah.
of people who are coaches is to get to that place where you feel comfortable and identify your strengths and your weaknesses so that you can approach people and it be effective.
So that's really great. And I appreciate the feedback from the students that you referred to me and
Mm-hmm.
knowing that helping them in the area of confidence
Mm-hmm.
was instrumental because I think that oftentimes what happens is we have people that we're coaching or mentoring and they have all of the credentials. You could look at their CV or you could look at
Mm-hmm.
their resume or you could even
Mm-hmm.
talk to them and say,
Mm-hmm.
wow, you've really accomplished a lot. But there's that confidence building
Mm-hmm.
that comes into play, particularly with coaches, because if we think about coaches in the area of athletics, right?
Mm-hmm.
The coach is the one who puts the strategy together and is like, and you can go do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then
Mm-hmm.
when we think about coaches outside of that arena, we're like, I don't think I need a coach, or I can do this on my own, or I just don't need to do it, or I won't do it.
Right.
So I
Right.
think talent is often untapped
Mm-hmm.
because people can't really make the shift, the paradigm shift of, oh, the coaching principles can apply in other areas of our lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you gave an example, I think, of people who have the CV and they just need a little bit of help with it. But I've had students who I've sent to you who give me feedback after who didn't know how to even put together a CV to highlight things that were important for them to include. Like I've had people who haven't maybe had like teaching experience in the formal sense where they've taught a class at a university, but they have teaching experience as a teacher of high school or middle-aged students, and the principles are the same. The skills are transferable, but they don't even identify that. They've done like in-service trainings in the mental health clinics where they work, and they're like, I can put that on a CV. I'm like, yes.
Yes, yes, you are
It
so
doesn't hold the same weight as an academic conference, but it is a teaching. It is a teaching experience that people want to know about. So
absolutely.
having conversations with coaches like yourself to bring that stuff to people's attention because lots of people don't know that they can do that.
You're
Or
right. You're
do
right.
other things
They
that are
don't understand the transferable skill sets or how to package
exactly,
it, right? And so
exactly.
thinking about opportunities and engagement and transferable skill sets, and I was always impressed when we were at the university at how much of an effort, although you made it seem effortless, with
Mm-hmm.
community engagement and getting
Mm-hmm.
students to participate in leadership and
Mhm.
scholarship, and you even won several grants and
Mhm.
awards and accolades. And I was
Mhm.
proud to have you as part of our department
Mhm.
to really elevate that part of us. And so
Mhm.
when you talk about the confidence building, and I like to think of you in that role when you were working with students as really sort of mentorship,
Mhm.
going, traveling with them, doing posters, doing lectures, in-service trainings.
Mhm.
How do you how do you feel about people having a coach and a mentor?
You need both. I told you at the opening, I have many. So I have like 4 business mentors now. Um,
Mhm.
is run a multi $50 million organization. One is a marketing expert. Actually, two are marketing experts. One has run a company, a national company. Like I have many, and I still have people in academia that I turn to if I have questions about academia. I don't think you can have enough coaches. I mean, it's
Great. And as someone who advocates for that, I'm so glad to hear it. And I also think it's important to underscore what you said about people being in different sort of discipline or industry,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah.
while you could have multiple team members, if you will,
Mhm.
you want to be really strategic about who is coaching you about what, right? So
Yes.
in the area of, we come from the world of academia, the discipline of academia, the industry of academia.
Uh-huh.
What would you say to a potential adjunct professor or someone who is looking to promote and rank? What would be the benefits of investing
Uh-huh.
resources in
Uh-huh.
hiring a coach?
I think the coach will help you to see things that you don't see. So I have worked with people, as I'm sure you have, on promotion packages. I know you have done that because you were very good about doing that when you were part of the chair. Um, but really, a lot of times people don't see the things that we have seen, the things that are transferable, the things that they've done. They're like, "Oh, I don't think I should put that on there." I mean, there are people when I started pulling people onto the team because a lot of people that I had, they were not used to doing this kind of stuff. It wasn't encouraged by the institutions where I've worked or you've worked. I'd pull people onto it. It was really like, well, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know, or even questions about like, I didn't know that you could do presentations that were not research based, that were clinically based. And there are people like, oh, I'm not going to apply for them. Like, are you kidding? Like, I'm kidding. I'm getting accepted all the time. Like, clinical work. So we can do case studies and they get accepted. It doesn't have to be that you have a data set because that takes forever to do. So it's really thinking outside the box. And I think a coach can help you do that, to think outside the box in terms of how to maximize the things that you do so that it looks impressive on paper if you're going to apply for adjunct or you're going to move up in rank.
Great, great. And I also know that you had a very prestigious appointment to an American Psychological Association task force. And
Mhm.
I know that you were instrumental in bringing community members together, clinicians,
Mhm.
people who were receiving services. It was really a holistic approach. Tell us a bit about that. I know that that's something very exciting, and I was happy to hear that that happened for you, and even
Mhm.
play a small part in supporting you.
Thank you. Yeah, you're very supportive with regards to that. Hosting the community um, meeting, the community forum that we have with people, like you said, who were drawn from the community. Some of them were academicians, some of them were students, some of them were business owners, but people of color, many of them who identify or as LGBT or allies, who I wanted to have some say in the new guidelines that the APA was going to put together for working with LGBT um, clients. I think it's instead of because changed the title, and I think it's now sexual minority persons is the title of the document. But yeah, that was something that I found on my own, but have been mentored by people who are the chairs of that, again, because they're incredible researchers. And I come from more of a community mental health background, and I've learned so much from even working on those committees. So it's identifying those opportunities. I become better at doing that by myself. But when you're new to the game, I think having a coach who can guide you towards opportunities, again, especially for people of color, we don't know what this looks like. I'm gonna be completely honest. We have no clue. If you don't come from a family that is a professional family or moved up the ranks in academia, you really don't know where to start. And so having a coach and investing in that is extremely important if you want to do academia, whether it's part-time, whether it's full-time. I think having somebody that can guide you through that and making that investment of time and money is extremely important.
Well, you have really, I think, hit on some very salient points. As you mentioned, the space of academia looks a particular way, and oftentimes it looks a way that is not very inclusive. And if you are able to break into that space, it can be very isolating because you may be the only one, or you may be the only one who is in your sub-discipline, very specialized. And so finding a support team can be difficult. And sometimes based on the politics of the university, you probably don't want to talk to anybody there, or you may just be trying to figure out the landscape, but there are some overarching things that are similar, no matter which institution you're at, right? So getting the position, keeping the position, promoting, finding opportunities for advancements, how to engage, how to navigate the sharp corners of academia, how to find allies, how to, get yourself out there outside of the university, because many times what happens is the university will run you ragged, put you on every diversity committee, have you teach in every diversity course, and every student who is a minority sees you, and then they want to be with you, and you want to be with them, and then you find yourself just taxed and tapped out. And so having some support outside of the university, making your name outside of the university in your industry, in your community, is something that you have done very well. And I think that you were able to sort of pivot to when you moved out of academia, in a sense, to grow start and grow your own business, and keep sort of a finger in academia, because you have adjunct positions, right? And so as we get ready to come to the last few minutes, can you talk to us about how you did that pivot and why you decided to remain connected to academia?
So I feel like the business was founded because I've had so much experience working with children, adolescents, and families and couples, and particularly the LGBT population. There's just like a need for this. Like relationships are the foundation of good relationships are the foundation of everything, whether it's business or your own personal relationship, family, etc. And there's so many problems, you know this as a clinician, that so many problems stem from family of origin stuff. It just is not addressed. And people pass down the same generational stuff from generation to generation, including people of color. We've gotten better in the last year, I think, about seeking help, just because the pandemic just kind of was like stressful for everybody. And I noticed that more Black and Latinx people run to therapy, thank goodness, because we need it as well. But it really is addressing the need and not being able to do that in academia. So keeping my foot, like you said, in academia, because I think that that's the world that I come from. It drives the work that I do, because it's based in theory and practice. And so I probably will always be connected to academia, but it's just, I think the pivot is about wanting to do more in terms of mental health and impacting families that I just can't do as just somebody who does research and teaching. And there's a teaching component to it, so I get to do that, which I love.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so as part of my coaching practice, as you know, I assist people who are pivoting and transitioning out of academia
Mhm,
into industry. And
mhm,
I think there are many benefits to remaining connected in some way, because as you said, what we do is based on science and research.
mhm,
So
mhm,
being engaged in that way, and also being able to engage with the new blood of the industry, is something
mhm,
I and you really gravitate to. So
mhm.
I want to thank you so much for being a guest today on the podcast. How
Thank you
can
for
people
having me.
get in touch with you?
So our website is Soul to Soul Global, Soul, SOUL, number two, SOUL global.com. You can reach me via email, doc, at soul to soul global.com. We're on Instagram and Facebook, Soul to Soul Global, or Soul to Soul Global 9, the number 9. Twitter, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff, all that wonderful stuff. And reach out if you have questions or comments, and especially if you'd like to come to the workshop this weekend.
Yes,
Love to have
absolutely.
people there.
We will have your links to all of your social media and your website. And if you're not able to make this vision board training
Mhm,
workshop,
mhm,
it's okay. Do not worry, because Dr. Canillas puts these on a couple times a year. He also
mhm.
has couples retreats. And so you will be able to reach out and touch him. And hopefully one day soon, you'll be able to attend one of his workshops and get to know him a little better. So thank you again
Absolutely.
for
Thank
being
you.
today on the Academic Career Coach podcast. Once again, I'm Dr. Loren M. Hill, and we would like for you to like and subscribe and share this information for those of you who are interested in academia, or even thinking about it or needing some support in that area. Please reach out to us soon.